Hey everyone, Jason here from Off the Beaten Path, picking up on the rest of this trip with Luca. So we're starting here at Pineapple Flat Campground, just on the King River there, and heading north on Burnt Top Track. First time for me on this track, so headed north a few kilometres, and then it becomes Wild Horse Gap, which I haven't driven that either, but this particular day we stayed on Burnt Top Track, so we turned left, and this up through here, this section, as the contours you can sort of see there perhaps are alluding to, it's a real sort of spur track, and it was a lot of fun, and we just about got all four seasons. Followed that through to the other side, where we turned onto the Stockyard Track, and then onto the tail end of Long Spur down Sandy Flat Track, down to Sandy Flat, back on the King River, just near Lake William Hovell, before continuing on and heading out of the area. So yeah, great little drive. Most of these, well, I mean the section from Long Spur back to Pineapple Flat I've never driven before, so this was my first time on that section of track, and I think Luca hadn't driven it for a while, so it was good fun. And let's get into the video, guys. So here we are, just heading off after a quick lunch at Pineapple Flat. We were lucky with lunch, the rain that's been sort of on and off throughout the day sort of cleared, so we were able to eat lunch without worrying too much about getting wet. And heading off now from Pineapple Flat towards Burnt Top Track. Not too far out of camp, and the track starts climbing like a typical high country track. This early section was all in pretty good order. You know, almost two-wheel drive, really. A little bit damp in places from the rain that we'd had today, but nothing to really worry about. And it's about 8 kilometres from Pineapple Flat up to the turn-off where it meets Wild Horse Gap Track, and we'll be turning to continue following Burnt Top Track. Decent climb, as you can see. The track's definitely got a bit of gradient to it, but really good condition and a pretty easy drive, plenty of traction. A little bit of erosion just on this corner here. But again, plenty of traction, so not really anything to be concerned about at all. You can see some of these corners are reasonably sharp, and as well as being a sharp corner, it's got a fair bit of gradient to it as well. And before not too long we start going down. Now, did get a couple of drops on the lens, unfortunately. I think there's probably not so much rain, but it's more to the point, water falling out of the trees probably. It's just happened to land on the case for the GoPro, but fortunately not right over the track. A bit of tree damage there that somebody's fortunately cleared, and not a real wide track here, but one of those times where you do run into somebody coming the other way. There was a reasonable amount of room here that I could pull off, just enough anyway, and that left just enough room for the guys there in the Rodeo, Colorado, coming the other way to squeeze past me. It's pretty cozy, but you can be lucky sometimes. Tend to slow down a bit, still in the 76 at times, because not the fastest on the gear changes. Getting better at making sure I've got the right gear selected. But this was a little while ago now as well, so Just for reference, this was filmed in early December, so around 6 months ago. You can see here quite a good little erosion channel through the track, so slowed right after that. There was quite a steep little rut. Nothing too difficult, just worth taking it slow and steady so you don't damage or break anything. Lots of vegetation around the track, and yeah, definitely a soft section here. You can see all that water sitting off to the right. You can see on the track here some ruts that have formed when I think it's been quite a lot softer. But nothing for us to be overly concerned about. And again, this section's got plenty of traction, that's for sure. Still a good little climb, so I definitely recommend this track. Look, it was a lot of fun to drive, and from what I understand, chatting to one of the subscribers, I'm pretty sure this has been graded since we drove it. Did think this was the end of the road till we spied that bypass track, because that's a big tree. That's a really big tree. Just have a look at this footage from Luca's car as I drive around the end of it, and have a look at the width of the tree compared to the car. Yeah. Like, we weren't cutting that anytime soon. I think that'll be there for a while. Unless when they graded the track they did something about it. Love to know if that's still there, guys. If anyone's driven this track more recently since we filmed this, as I said, this was early December. Is that big tree still there? So just coming up here, so we've covered the first 8Ks of this track, so that is Wild Horse Gap track there on the right, and we've veered left to stay on Burnt Top track. So from this intersection here, it's around a 10-kilometre run to where it joins up with Stockyard Track. And again, a little bit of contour, but generally speaking, this part of the track was all in pretty good condition. Certainly glad to get around that tree back there, that's for sure. And yeah, both vehicles just making pretty short work of this. A little bit more of a clay base through this section, and while it was wet, it wasn't wet enough to get slippery. So again, we didn't really have any issues. Nice long steady climb through here though. Track does vary a bit. Sections like this are a lot more open, and then earlier you would have seen very, very bushed in, and yeah, this climb just kind of keeps going. Again, a little bit rutted, but nothing to be concerned about. Further up here as well, you get some cracking views back towards Lake Cobbler. I did take some footage of it, but due to the weather at the time, it really didn't come out, so I didn't end up including it in the video. So you'll have to take my word for it, but if you head up this way, keep an eye out on the right hand side looking back towards the east. You get some great views back towards Mount Cobbler. feel like when we pulled up there, that might have been one of the spots where we got a view back east towards Mount Cobbler. It's really not that far away. And then from here we're heading down once again. Decent sized rut there on the left hand side. That was Thunder. So you can see this section of the track's a little bit torn up, probably from people coming the other way trying to get up this. And yeah, that low rumbling, that's not Luca's car, that is actually Thunder. So we knew some weather was on the way for sure. And we're thinking about the fact that of where we are, and till we want to be up here if that weather's going to be incoming. But as is so often the case, it's not like we had a lot of choices. Who really wants to turn around and go back? So we did decide just to push on. It's not that far to get back to some lower ground. And yeah, this section of the track's almost a little bit of a ridgeline track. Till you get around a little bit further, of course, just as I say that. But a very varied track, really nice to drive, and the vast majority of it wasn't really too difficult at all. A bit of water on the track. Again, from the rain earlier in the day, you've got to expect that kind of thing. And yeah, not surprisingly with that thunder that we had, the rain's back. Really big drops of rain, so not super heavy rain as in a lot of it, but really big drops. As we work our way along this section. And still climbing. Track's starting to get a little bit wet, so you're starting to wonder, particularly in my case, running the road terrains, are we going to have a traction issue along here? But slow and steady seems to be winning the race, and perhaps the track's just not quite wet enough for that to present an issue at this time. See there, that little hump was fairly well rutted out. We were able to span it and head to the left and keep our wheels out of those ruts, but definitely been dug in a little bit. And once again, the makeup of the track sort of changed as we pushed on further and getting higher and higher. Section coming up here is almost reminiscent of a well-known part of Billy Goat's Bluff, where you have a very narrow section of track with a rapid fall away either side. And this is a section through here. You can see that's quite a steep drop off on both sides and not a super wide section of track at all. Some great views to be had from just here. And just as we get here, yep, that's hail. It is what you think it is. It's hail. Sunshine, rain, and hail.
Just stopped on Burnt Top Spur. We've got hail.
That was certainly unexpected, especially at this time of year. As I said, keep in mind this was filmed in early December, not winter. What a cracking section of track through here though. Just this 100 metres where you've got these drop-offs either side, but very cool. That sound you can hear is hail hitting the case of the GoPro, I believe, causing that sound in the microphone. And that was a fairly localised bit of hail because as we're pushing on here, it's changed back to rain again. So we've just dropped altitude ever so slightly and back to rain. Climbing back up now. And as you can see, as we pushed on a little further, that rain has well and truly set in. The truck's getting definitely wet. And we're starting to have a long, hard think about where it is we're going and what that might be like. Now, where we'd planned to go, and we do end up going this way, is down to Sandy Flat on the Sandy Flat track. Now, last time I drove that, I was coming up it, and it was very greasy and slippery. So my concern was that was going to be like a slip and slide for us going down. You can see how much rain's come down. The truck's filled up with water very, very quickly compared to what we were driving on just, you know, half an hour ago. And we've got a little bit of hail come back again as that weather system has well and truly settled in. Gnarly weather, especially for December. But you can see how it's almost a river running down the tracks here. Every time you get to one of these humps, it's pushing the water off the track and again almost forming rivers into the bush there. So just crazy weather. Still making good time. Again, you can see the water diverted off there, and this section of the track's got a little bit of a clay base and some good erosion gullies there on the right hand side. So I've tried to stick left, but just hasn't really happened for me. We've slipped down into that right hand one, so I've gone with it in the end. Tried to get up and out of it, but the rear tyre sort of stayed in it.
No way I was keeping left of that.
And you just heard that thunder.
How'd you go?
Yeah, much the same line. I tried to avoid it, but no, impossible.
So yeah, this weather's well and truly set in on us. Not the ideal weather to be in the high country, but certainly keeping us on our toes driving, that's for sure.
Left on the Stockyard?
Yep, roger.
So turning left here onto Stockyard Track. That track on the right there is a management vehicle only track called the Cherry Tree Track.
That management vehicle track on the right doesn't look very well used, does it?
No, it doesn't. I don't even remember it being there, but yeah, it's there.
So yeah, and that'll take you, that Cherry Tree Track takes you in
Looking at my map, it goes straight
the back
to
way into Benny's campground. I believe some years ago that used to be accessible to drivers, but it's management vehicle only now. Would have been a really convenient way to get in and out of Benny's, but really you need to take the White Horse Gap track. turned off Burnt Top Track now and we're on the Stockyard Track. A little bit deeper rut there than I was expecting with a steep entry. Lucas sort of done his best to avoid that, having the benefit of having watched me. You can see this section of track's pretty wet and a little bit rutted. And this is the first time I've ever driven down through this way. I've been up Sandy Flat Track before, but when I've done that, we've typically then headed across to Mason Track and out to Rose River Road. Another decent sized one there with plenty of water in it. So another one there.
That second one was deeper than I was expecting.
Yeah, nice deep one.
So really didn't have a clear idea of what to expect. When we get down here to Long Spur Track, I have driven that section of Long Spur Track and I knew there was a couple of bog holes down there. I was
I'll tell you what, there's not much stopping on there.
starting to think about that.
If I remember rightly, I might get a little worse. But we'll assess it as we go. You're travelling at a nice little speed, which is good.
So yeah, might get a little worse. Fabulous. But yeah, slow and steady definitely wins the race in these conditions, particularly with the tyres I'm running. Didn't want to build up too much momentum. And you can see I sort of half slid down that little hill there. And a little bit of a steep exit. Again, I keep saying this, but it does just astound me how well these tyres did at the time. Yeah, we used a lot of Lucas footage through here because with his camera mounted inside the vehicle, he's got his wipers there to keep the screen clear. It's just a lot better footage than what I was capturing on the GoPro at this time. And yeah, all this water around certainly made conditions challenging, kept us on our toes, and it made for a pretty fun and interesting drive, to be honest. So again, Lucas had the benefit of being able to see where those ruts are because I've gone through, and he's managed to span them.
That's interesting. You might want to walk it, I don't know.
Yeah. I can wait if I walk it, mate.
So there's a couple of bog holes up here we've just spotted, and yeah, benefit of hindsight, maybe I should have walked it. Now just on the right there is a beeline, which I didn't see. Just straight in front of the camera there, a little bit hard to spot. We've gone in and almost, but not quite gotten out. Maybe I should have walked it. So yeah, Lucas caught that on his camera from behind. And that's about that. A little bit of movement going backwards. Yeah, there's that beeline that I've just circled on the screen there.
I need a winch, mate.
Need a winch. It's handy when you got friends that'll get out in the rain and run your winch rope out for you. The rain did ease up though, amazingly, just at that time. Nice big tree there, like it was planted just for this purpose. over the crest there and just taking up the tension on the winch again, because we're not out of the woods just yet. Winch is still doing a bit of work to get us through here. So this is possibly one of, if not the first time I've used the Sherpa winch, I think. Could be the first time. So just getting ourselves clear of that first bog hole. And yeah, Luke is just holding that winch rope up for me so I don't drive over the top of it, and we're up and out.
I mean, no, I won't, mate. I'm not even going to try that. It's too deep.
So yeah, just drove this, and I use that word lightly. Anyway, had a crack at driving this in the 76. Bellowed out, got stuck, winched it. Luca ran the winch for me. In the process of running the winch for me, we found the beeline. So there is a track around it that people have sort of used, and that's the option Luca's going to take. We didn't even see that at the start, but it's there.
Nicely crawling beside that.
Yeah, crawling
That
nicely.
bog hole there, not wanting to slip in. It's a pretty decent drop in.
Still a bit soft in here.
Nicely done. A little bit quicker and easier than my more direct route, but not nearly as much fun. And you can see once again the weather's cleared, we've got blue skies, and yeah, as it says on the screen there, it doesn't even look like the same day. It really doesn't. It's quite amazing. Literally, 3 or 4 seasons in one day. Never quite know with these bog holes like that on the track how deep they are. You can see that one had a fairly steep exit, popped the bonnet up as we were exiting. Some ruts in this part of the track with a bit of a clay base there, but nothing for us to worry about, and that sun's already starting to dry the track out a little bit. We certainly don't have the rivers that we were seeing. I mean, you can see this hill coming up, it's got a little bit of water still sitting on it, but nothing like what it would have been if it was still raining the way that it has been. So yeah, this section of Stockyard Track from where we turned off back there near the access to Benny's up to where we turn onto Long Spur is about 8 kilometres. So we're making some good time here, ticking along. So yeah, just ticking our way through this section of track. Plenty of water, as I've said many times. That was kind of going to be a given with the rain we've had. That one was nice and deep up over the bonnet, the splash went. But most of the track is pretty easy driving and not too wet. Just the odd spot like this. So they were pretty frequent. Decent sized puddles, but that's what they were. They were puddles more than bog holes. Really the only bog hole was that one that I had to winch through. You can see here some ruts worn into the track, and it doesn't come out brilliantly on camera, but it was fairly off camber around this corner. So I took it nice and high to sort of keep the vehicle as level as I could. And then down through here you can see that rut on the right hand side the vehicle's sort of moved into, which also puts it off camber a little bit, but nothing to really worry about. The track's in good condition, and another good sized puddle here. I didn't sort of really trust that one and didn't want to stretch the friendship and have to winch again, so I've driven right around the outside of that one because there was room to do so. This one, I didn't think much of it, so just straight through the middle. I'm not sure what makes me decide that some puddles are less trustworthy than others, but it's the way it is. You can see there, puddle back there, another one up here, but quite a scenic track through this part of the bush, that's for sure. And we're just coming up here to the intersection with Long Spur Track. So if you continue straight ahead, it becomes the Wabonga Track, and you can actually follow that all the way through, almost towards Paradise Falls. But yeah, we're turning left onto Long Spur, little short 3k stint along Long Spur Track, and then 5k's down Sandy Flat Track to Sandy Flat campground on the King River. So this is a nice clay hill. For longer term watchers of the channel, I actually came up this track. It was one of the first times I took the 76 off-road. I came from Chesson and I did Long Spur Track. That was around Easter last year. Not 100% sure when I uploaded that, but yeah, drove this track back then and in the opposite direction. So I knew this section up here with the bog holes was coming up. You got 3 bog holes in a row. It's sort of a choose your own adventure situation.
I drove this left-hand one in Easter, so that's what I'm going to do again today.
Stick with what you know.
Way to go, Jason!
Power! Have you started or are you hanging on?
No, I'm going around the beeline.
I went?
What's that?
So are you coming the way I went?
No, but I can if you want me to, but I choose not to. But if you want me to, I will.
Were you going to drive one of the other bog holes?
No, there's a beeline.
Really?
I think your eyes see it, but your brain says I'm not doing no pansy beelines. That's what's going on in that head of yours, Jason.
Alright, no, that's right. If you were going to come through the bog hole, I'll come back and film with the Sony, but take the beeline, it's all good.
See, I honestly didn't see this way around.
Oh, I see you coming around there.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, I did not see that.
Yeah, you did, but your brain just will not calculate, saying no. Beelines are for Luca type setups, not for Jason.
So yeah, it's funny because when I drove that going the other way back in Easter, I was by myself, didn't have a winch installed on the vehicle yet. I thought I had a good look for a beeline and couldn't see one, in my mind at least. Obviously it was there because it's there now, so there was always room to get around those bog holes. I just didn't see it last time, and I didn't see it this time because I certainly wasn't looking for it, because in my mind I had a good look last time I was there and there was no beeline to be had. So, you know, no harm, no foul. Made it through the bog hole, but there is actually a way around them, which I now know. Maybe I need glasses. Well, I'm pretty sure I do need glasses, but Yeah, so we've covered that 3Ks fairly quickly, and turning left here from Long Spur Track onto Sandy Flat. This is just a short 5K run down to the King River. There's some cracking camp spots down along there, just on the east side of the King River, and was really keen to see what condition this track was in and what it might be like. It's probably a good 3-4 years since I last drove this track, and that was coming up and at that time certainly the bottom section of it was a greasy, slippery clay hill. So with all the rain we've had today, I was a little bit concerned about we get the wheels onto that and then we just slide. Wasn't to be the case. Things have changed, as they do with tracks, quite markedly. And yeah, that weather's holding good for us just at the moment. Blue skies. Certainly even here, more rocky than I remembered the track being, that's for sure. And it is a reasonably steep little track, this one. As we always say, the camera really doesn't do it justice. Pretty sure I was second gear, low range most of this, and you can hear the engine braking sort of doing its thing. Particularly on these corners, it does tend to slow you right up. I was happy taking it pretty slow and steady though, because I really didn't know what the conditions up ahead might be like. And really the further down we were getting, the sort of the rockier it was getting. So that was giving me some peace of mind in terms of the likelihood that we'd be able to maintain decent traction. Good sized rock there just on the left. You've got to watch out for those sort of ones close to the track where your wheels are going to run. Good for sidewall damage, they can be. But yeah, reasonably tight little track. And just keep in mind too, we did this back in December. These tracks are all seasonally closed just at the moment. They reopen after the end of November, late October rather, most of them. So in November they reopen. Closed typically from King's Birthday long weekend through to late October. But check the parks listing and website for the latest information on that. But yeah, most of the tracks in this area are seasonally closed over that winter period. So you can see here, like this section's really well torn up.
Yeah, this is definitely ripped up a lot more than last time I came this way.
Yes, I agree. And I do this area a lot, and it certainly has been ripped up.
Yeah, this was the greasy hill that I was meaning.
Yes.
Very different to how we remembered it, that's for sure. Nice and sharp, the hairpins at each end.
Looks as if a river's been flowing down this road compared to last time I've seen it.
Yeah, well, I remember particularly this lower section as just being smooth clay.
Well, there's no more smooth clay anywhere. I mean, there's clay underneath somewhere, the rocks, but on the top surface they've all been washed away.
Yeah, absolutely. Megan right in the middle of the track here, just in front of me.
So you can see that big rock just in the middle of the track there. I put the right-hand tyres on it just to go up and over it. Make sure they just don't get hung up on it.
Saw it.
And you can see Luca's done the same thing, the right side of his car lifting up as he rolls over it. Quite a big size rock, that one.
Oof.
Just about down to the bottom now though. This whole section here, a sandy flat track, is just a steady climb. Pretty rough, as you can see by how much Luca's car is moving. This next section of track through here looks like they'd actually done some work to repair it. It looked like it had been almost completely washed away, and they've brought some rock
This
in.
looks like it's almost freshly made up.
Yeah. Yes, it certainly has changed. Honestly, it's I never expected anything like this track to be like this. Yeah, it's probably the worst I've seen, to be quite honest.
And yeah, just to put it in context, guys, Luca's been driving this part of the high country for probably 30 odd years. So yeah, final run here down towards the King River.
Where do you want to go? Straight ahead down here along the river, or?
Yeah,
Sandy
I think
flat.
that's the only track in. I think, yeah, you go in there. I'm pretty sure that's the one.
So there's a couple of tracks down here. This one we're heading on, and another one a little
There's a
closer to the
parallel
river.
one a little bit closer to the river, but this will loop us around to it.
And there's a number of campsites down in here. We just sort of had a bit of a drive around. There was a big group right down the end, so we came back and found this one. We weren't 100% sure whether we were going to camp here or push on, but we thought we'd pull in and have a break and check out the river anyway.
Just pulled up at Sandy Flat camping area, right on the King River here. Nice little access track down to the river. River's actually not up that much. It's flowing, but does not look deep at all.
Very scenic though.
But
Again,
cracking
the
little
camera's not doing that
campsite here.
justice.
Right on the river. We're not sure we're going to camp here tonight or push on, do a bit more. We'll wait and see.
So yeah, we decided to push on. It was reasonably early in the day and was looking like some rain was actually coming in, quite possibly. So yeah, just with that in mind, we decided to push on rather than be caught in the rain, get all the swag and everything wet, because at this point I still hadn't fitted an awning to the vehicle. And I was also conscious that my swag's been on the roof most of the day and is probably already wet through anyway. One of the weaknesses with the Oztent RS1 swag is the bag's not fully waterproof, and the way the mattress wraps around the outside of the swag when you put it in the bag, the mattress tends to get wet when it's raining before anything else does. So something to think about. So yeah, we decided to push on back towards Lake William Hovell. So we're at a crossing here of the King River. This one can be deep at times, but not today. I have driven this when it's been almost bonnet deep. That was an interesting experience. If you want to see that, it's actually the crossing maybe 20-30 metres down to the left. Just look for Epic River Crossing video, one of the early videos I uploaded to the channel. But yeah, nice and shallow today, just sort of halfway up the wheels or so. Nice clear water, you can see where you're going. It's a little bit of a lumpy, rocky bottom, and somebody camping on this side. So there is a camping area this side. The better campsites are on the other side of the river, but if it's during winter and you can't cross because it's seasonally closed over there, there he is, camper, you know, then you can camp this side. But even when it is seasonally closed, sorry, of course, you can get across the river and you can get to those campsites. The seasonal closure is the gate on the sandy flat track. You just can't go anywhere else. So as long as the river isn't up too much, this part of the track stays open, as does the rest of the track through to Top Crossing Hut through winter. See the King River there on the right hand side. So again, as long as the river's not up too much, you can actually go all the way through to Top Crossing Hut. You can get across to those campsites, and yeah, you can get to where that gentleman was camping just back there. So this part you can. So pushing our way back towards Lake William Hovell now. We've just about come full circle, just a couple of k's along here, and we'll actually be coming up on the northern end of Buckland Spur once again. So we've ended up doing a loop sort of right the way around. As you can see, the main track along here is generally in pretty good order. A few sections of it get a bit potholy and a bit rough, but vast majority of it is actually in pretty good order. So that's the northern end of Buckland Spur there on the left. That was the first access point. Then there's two more just here, one there and one the other side of this sign, which is the one we took when we headed up and over Buckland Spur. And you can see Lake William Hovell just down there on the right. We did pass a little access track on the right hand side that does actually take you down to the mouth of the river where the lake starts, and I think somebody's just commented on one of the other videos about that. So here we are back at Evans Creek Crossing. Luca's just working his way down. So we both opted for that right hand line. Easy to see in the daylight. Main thing, you just want to take that nice and slow and steady so your rear quarters or your bumper don't actually hit those rocks as you go down. It is a fairly steep sort of descent. As you can see here, this is kind of the view. It's not even the view you get from the driver's seat, to be honest. All you see is the front of the bonnet. You can't actually see down in front of it, so it's a little bit of guesswork. Coming down something as steep as this, you sort of look out the driver's side window trying to pick your line, but really it's you know, you have a look before you start and try and line it up. So you can see here, this shot gives you a better idea of just how steep it is. You don't want to be any further to the left or any further to the driver's side than that. There's a big hole there, but coming down through that line, it's actually a nice flat line. So you might recall from the previous video, one of the utes we saw going went up that line, and that's exactly the nice easy line. Keeps all your wheels down there on the ground. Not that you have to worry about any of that
Nicely
anymore,
done.
because they've bulldozed that and graded it, and it's now a concrete ramp, which is a bit of a shame, a bit sad I think, but I understand why they did it. It is a fire access trail at the end of the day, and they do need to be able to get fire trucks up and in there, and the way it was, that could have been an issue. Yeah, they've got to maintain that access, I understand it. Still plenty of big rocks along here. This is such a fun little drive. So look, you guys are probably just about sick of seeing this section of track, because this is like the third or fourth video it's been in. It's a fun little rocky section of track to drive, and it really does feel like you're driving down a river. And it's not that long. You're back onto the normal track sort of fairly quickly. And from here you're looking at about 4 to 5 k's back to the bitumen there at Lake William Hovell, which is where we're going to head to now to air up. So just coming down that last section, this is that clay hill with a little concreted river crossing at the bottom of it. So just about out now. Of course I didn't re-show you, there's been enough of my videos recently with that section of track. It just happened that way. I happened to have 2 or 3 trips all up this way in recent times, sort of all close together. That's just how it happened. And yeah, just coming to the end of the track and back onto the bitumen just about for Lake William Hovell. You can see the dam wall there over on the right, and coming up to the main sort of foreshore area. There's a large group here camping there. It's tent camping only, I believe, in that area. And I think they were doing canoeing and all kinds of things. You can see Luca's already pulled up there. Well guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like this video if you've liked it. Comment down below. And if you've watched this far, thank you for watching this far. And we've got some bonus content, locals only knowledge, that we're going to share with you in just a minute. For those of you that have actually watched this far,
here we are.
an hour in.
Some local knowledge being shared. We're going to find McCormicks hole. So apparently it's a good thing. Let's go and check it out.
So that's a little car park there just off the river road, Upper King River Road. And that's the King River down there on the left. And at the back of the car park, there's this little walking track here, goes along private property. You've got to watch out the barbed wire there on the right hand side. And it's just a couple of 100 metres walk down along here. Luca guiding the way for me. As you can see, not the first people to walk along here. She's a pretty well worn, despite the length of the grass, the track is pretty clear and pretty well worn. McCormicks hole.
There you go.
Nicely
Pretty
maintained.
crack-a-lackin'.
No camping here. Day use area only. Look at that.
This is a perfect spot. Tell you what, for kids.
What an awesome swimming spot, yeah. Widens out and the current slows down.
There's a rope up there. Jump from the highest point to the second lowest point. Up the top of the rock. See the rock? See the rope?
Yes.
That kids jump off all day.
Guessing it's deep enough in under there to land in.
So yeah, Luca's just telling me the eager children will jump off those rocks down into the
Cracking
river.
spot. Right near the road. Probably not well known about. No camping here, as per the sign. Somebody maintains the grass though.
Really nice, well maintained area.
So just down there, McCormicks hole. And as you can see, cars are just there, probably 150, maybe 200 metres away.
Thanks guys.
A little bit
we
tight.
will see you in the next
Beside
video.
the fence here, some long grass, but worth the walk.